London in 1984, the chief city of Airstrip 1, is a landscape of rotting 19th-century houses and bombed sites where plaster dust swirls in the air. The physical world exists in a state of perpetual, grimy decay. Plastered across this ruin are the telescreens. They receive and transmit simultaneously. Every sound above a very low whisper is picked up by the party, and so long as a citizen remains in the field of vision, every movement is scrutinized. To survive, you live from habit that becomes instinct. You keep your back to the screen, but even a back can be revealing. A sudden nervous tick, an unconscious look of anxiety, or a sigh can give you away. Wearing an improper expression on your face, looking incredulous when a military victory is announced, for example, is a punishable offense. The party has a word for this: face crime. They treat an uncontrollable twitch as a deliberate act of treason. Enforcing physical conformity has a limit. As long as a citizen possesses a few cubic centimeters inside their skull, they can hide their true feelings. To secure power, the party must move beyond the physical world and invade the mind itself. George Orwell worked at the BBC during World War II, broadcasting wartime propaganda to India. He knew how information could be curated for political aims. In the novel, this concept becomes the Ministry of Truth, an institution dedicated to systematically falsifying the historical record. Workers here alter old newspapers, books, and photographs to ensure every prediction Big Brother ever made matches current events. To accept these changes, citizens practice doublethink, the ability to hold two contradictory beliefs simultaneously and accept both as true. When a piece of information contradicts the party's current narrative, it is dropped into a memory hole and incinerated. The old truth is burned to ash, and the new, fabricated truth is filed away as the official record. This process dictates everything down to the scale of global conflicts. If Oceania is at war with Eurasia today, then Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia. When the enemy changes to East Asia tomorrow, the records are wiped clean and rewritten within hours. Without physical records to check against, human memory fails. A citizen might remember the old alliance, but if all the records tell a different story, the lie passes into history. The party's fabrication becomes the only objective reality. Controlling the past handles history, but the party also engineers the tools used to process reality in the present. They created Newspeak, the only language in the world whose vocabulary gets smaller every year. The objective of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought. Words that carry orthodox meanings are stripped of their nuance, while words related to liberty and equality are deleted. You cannot commit a thought crime if the words needed to express it do not exist. This logic tree shows how the vocabulary collapses. If you have a concept like good, varying shades of meaning like excellent or splendid are deleted, grouping the concept under a single block, plus good. Antonyms are also targeted. Bad is erased, replaced by ungood. By cutting the language down to the bone, the party removes the ability to conceptualize alternatives to their rule. The population is trapped in a vocabulary so restrictive that rebellion becomes a nameless and therefore unimaginable act. Why engineer such an extreme system? Winston assumes the inner party acts for the good of the majority, or to hoard wealth. But inner party member O'Brien reveals the blunt truth. The party seeks power for its own sake. O'Brien explains that earlier regimes were inefficient because they were infected by liberal ideas or were content to leave loose ends. They focused on overt acts, but they were uninterested in what their subjects were actually thinking. The inner party operates differently. O'Brien explains that power is a collective force, exercised by tearing human minds to pieces and putting them together again in new shapes. It is power over the mind. In Oceania, pain and humiliation are not byproducts of a harsh government. They are the primary purpose. Inflicting suffering is the only way the party can prove that it wields control over the individual's consciousness. This philosophy reaches its logical conclusion in Room 101. This is the final stage of the inward spiral, a torture chamber designed to dismantle a person's identity using their deepest fear. The party refuses to execute dissidents while they still resist, because resistance creates martyrs. They torture their victims until every shred of independent thought is stripped away, treating nonconformity as a disease that must be cured before the victim is killed. Winston is forced to look at 4 fingers and see 5. He cannot just say the math is wrong to stop the physical pain, and he cannot merely pretend. He must undergo a psychological break where he genuinely accepts that 2 and 2 make 5. When that break happens, the individual personality is hollowed out. Winston's own identity, his memories, and his loyalties are replaced by a manufactured devotion. He accepts everything the party dictates, and his old self is replaced by love for Big Brother. Constant physical surveillance is merely a tool. The terror of 1984 is the systematic ability of a regime to overwrite the human soul.